They didn't just fall for Christian Grey, they fell for something much harder to admit. They fell for the danger, the silence, the tension in the air before something dark happens. They fell for control, disguised as love. When 50 Shades of Grey hit theaters, it didn't sneak in. It arrived like a storm. Every woman had the book in her bag. Every critic had something to say. And every man stood there, confused. Was it about sex? Was it about submission? Was it a twisted fantasy? It was about pain. Pain wrapped in elegance. Pain repackaged as intimacy. Pain that didn't scream, but whispered, "I see you." This movie didn't show us love the way Hollywood always has. It didn't give us candy hearts and dinner dates. It gave us a man who hurt because he couldn't feel, and a woman who stayed because she wanted to. What made this story addictive wasn't the red room. It was the tension outside of it. The quiet moments, the emotional bruises, the unspoken rules. This film flipped everything we thought we knew about love. In most romantic movies, pain is something you avoid. In 50 Shades, it's something you agree to. You sign for it. You prepare for it. You make a ritual out of it. And somehow, that became seductive. Christian Grey wasn't just hot, he was haunted. And that changed everything. Because for the first time, women weren't fantasizing about the knight in shining armor. They were fantasizing about the man with scars, the man who couldn't sleep, the man who punished instead of touched. Why? Because somewhere deep in that fantasy, there's a hope that if you're the one person who can get through to him, maybe he'll stop hurting. Both of you. Let's not lie. This movie didn't get famous because of its cinematography or its writing. It got famous because it hit a nerve, and that nerve is this. So many people crave control because life has been out of control. So many mistake obsession for passion, and pain for love. That's what 50 Shades of Grey really sold. Not just a fantasy, a feeling. The feeling of being chosen in a world where no one looks twice. The feeling of being wanted so much, someone would hurt for it. Or hurt you, just to keep you close. It's dangerous. It's toxic. And it's real. And in the dim lights of the cinema, people didn't judge it. They lived it. Let's talk about him, Christian Grey. The man, the myth, the red flag, and the reason why everyone kept watching. He's the billionaire fantasy with a twist. Polished, powerful, and permanently damaged. He doesn't love, he possesses, he doesn't talk, he controls. Every touch is rehearsed. Every emotion is avoided. Every relationship is a contract. But why? Because Christian Grey doesn't dominate for pleasure. He dominates because anything else feels unsafe. He's not in control because he enjoys it. He's in control because if he isn't, he collapses. This isn't a story about a confident man. This is a story about a man who was abused, neglected, and abandoned, and now builds emotional cages so no one gets in. His trauma is not obvious. It's subtle, but it shows up in every rule, every limit, every time he says, "I don't do hearts and flowers." This isn't just about sex, it's about survival. He was a child who had no choice. So now he makes every choice and expects every woman to follow. Until Anna Steele isn't just innocent. She's disruptive. She doesn't say yes immediately. She pushes back. She walks away. And that destroys Christian, because she becomes the first person he can't fully control, and the first person he doesn't want to lose. That's when the walls start cracking. Not because of a kiss, but because she sees him. Not the businessman, not the dominant, the broken man underneath. And that's more terrifying to him than any whip. This is what made 50 Shades of Grey more than a sexy movie. It was an emotional autopsy. It forced people to look at how trauma hides under desire, how pain can be performed as pleasure, and how love becomes a battleground when two people bring their past into the present. Christian Grey was never just a fantasy. He was a mirror. He showed us what happens when boys grow up without safety, when men are rewarded for control but punished for vulnerability. And he showed us what happens when that man meets someone who sees behind the mask and doesn't run. But here's the twist. Anna doesn't save him. She doesn't fix him. She forces him to fix himself. She sets boundaries. She says no. She demands more. And slowly, painfully, he starts to change. Not for her, but because she woke up something in him he thought was dead. Hope. Hope that love doesn't have to hurt. Hope that control isn't connection. Hope that maybe, just maybe, someone could love him, even if he's still learning how to love back. This is why 50 Shades of Grey made pain sexy. Because it made pain vulnerable. It didn't romanticize suffering. It revealed how many of us are suffering in silence, and how desire often grows where healing should happen. Christian Grey didn't become iconic because he was perfect. He became iconic because he was real, damaged, conflicted, emotional. A man who turned pain into protocol until love forced him to stop. Final line for outro. So no, 50 Shades of Grey wasn't about pleasure. It was about permission. To feel, to break, to want something raw, even when it hurts. And in a world full of polished lies, that kind of honesty will always be seductive.